thank you for giving me a chance to speak.
Do the introduction and then I can...
Yeah, so I just wanted to do a quick introduction. So it's my honor and ACL's honor and pleasure to host George Koukis. And I've known George since 2000. For 15 years, we had a common investor. And then I just met George about a year and a half ago. No, less than a year ago. And so that's how I got to know him. So I know him for many years, but actually I know him just recently physically met. And so in a short time, I learned a lot of things from George's story, right? The business philosophies that he used to build his company, his philosophy or values that he used to build his own the company and his life. And, when I saw those and I connected very well with them and I learned a lot, and I thought that the people that I knew who I think are running some of businesses, a network or a wealth management company or a social service or a departmental store, new generation, new success, real estate. I thought that these principles that which George used to build his business could be applied universally, and so hence this evening. So George, thank you for accepting to be here today, and we're all looking forward to hearing from you whatever you think we should know. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here, an honor. Sanjay asked me to do this. He promised me a very good time. I put a presentation together under the excuse of an ideal business plan. And I know a lot of you will be interested. I'll tell you there are only a few slides. I hope that I will not take more than 20 minutes, and then we can talk. For about 10 years now, I have run my own program called Dream for the World, and I teach young adults ethical leadership. I'm very strong on ethical leadership. The reason we experience so many problems socially worldwide is because we are not acting with integrity. And most of the people I've seen in my life, they don't qualify for my standards. So I've been very consistent on my website. I talk a lot about these things. And I'm going to start the presentation very quickly under only one condition. I have one condition. If I say something, if I said, for instance, politicians around the world are corrupt, it is a true statement, but it does not apply to your country of origin. In other words, if you're Indian, the politicians in India are gods. Everybody wants to hire them to run the countries because they're brilliant. That way, then, we will part friends. Whatever I say does not apply to your country. And I'm not here to be a critic of the structure here. I'm a guest. I have a big operation down in Chennai that I started back in 1994. I bought this company in 93. In 94, I started in Chennai, and I was the greatest proponent of that company. The person that I inherited with the company that I bought is a person that I'm very proud to know. He's still in charge of the operation. The only difference is we have more than 2,500 people. We developed the product out of there, which is the best in the world, undisputed. You can read Gartner, Tao Group, Forrester, whatever, all the gurus of technology. Temenos, the card I gave you, is #1 in the world. I'm going to tell you what concerns me. In Europe and in the world, there is a lot of unemployment, and I regard unemployment as an evil. When you're unemployed and you're 20, 25, 30 years old, you want to work. You don't want to get money from the government or anything. You really want to work. Yet in Europe right now, it's the #1 evil. Crime has gone up, petty crime, all over Europe. There's sometimes emergency meetings. You don't read in the news because they control the news. And me as a businessman, I always had a concept of helping with unemployment. So under that guise, if you like it, that excuse, I'm saying, how can you address unemployment issues? Governments don't know how to make money. Governments mainly will do things that give them more votes. So you have that guy who had a unique opportunity in the United States, the first black president, and instead of creating jobs, he paid the people to stay an extra year in unemployment benefits. In other words, you will vote for me. That's how they get voted. And that's a crime to me. The governments don't know how to make money. We need to agree on that, but it's not a debatable thing. They spend money, it's the only thing they know, and they collect taxes. So the more unemployed people you have means you and I work, and 10,000 others don't. It will come a moment where I'm going to stop working. I can't work forever, or I can't be taxed 90% or whatever it is. France has a 75% tax rate. And even though I do a lot of charity, I don't give them $1. I said, I'm not going to give that intellectual moron Hollande my money, where 75% of that goes into nothing. There comes a moment where you rebel. And that's how the French Revolution happened a couple of hundred years ago. So what is the answer then to that? To me, and I take great pride to say that what you do is you build a successful company, period. The only way you can address most of the social issues is for all of us in this room, if we create a success story, that means we create employment, we create real wealth. And I will show you in a minute what I've done with this kind of mentality. So, having said that, let me tell you the story of Temenos. I bought a bankrupt company in outside Zurich, Switzerland. That's why I live in Switzerland. I'm Greek by birth, and my daughters were born in Sydney, so we do have Australian passports. Then I bought this company. It was a twice bankrupt company, had a system called Globus. For my own reasons, I wanted to buy it. The VC that Sanjay mentioned, he had appointed advisors. Every one of them said, do not do it. I told them that I don't speak French. So in French, they said, il est fou, armed with the knowledge that I don't speak French. Il est fou, il est malade, ce n'est pas possible. That means he's crazy, he's sick, it's impossible. Now, I've been married to the same person for 51 years. Everybody knows her as Dragon Lady. It's been published in the Times, much to her disgust. And she also told me not to do it, by the way. They said to me, don't do it. I said, who the hell are you to tell me what I should do and not do in life? So I bought it for $948,000. I renamed it Temenos. Temenos is an ancient Greek word. It's not used today. And it means something of value, something you protect. I'll come to that in a minute. I had no credit lines. The VC, he told me that he had billions. And I did meet somebody who said, has unlimited funds, and he just writes a check to this VC. So I was comfortable. The day after I bought it, he says, I don't have any money. I said, you told me you had billions. He says, yes, but my main funding partner is gone. I said, what do you mean he's gone? I met him 2 days ago, Tom something, the name will come, also American, also Harvard University. They were roommates, that's how they knew each other. Probably he lied to me. And he says, he got arrested. I said, what do you mean arrested? He was a bank manager for embezzlement. That's the quality of the people that were around him. I was funding him the first 2 years. The money he gave me to acquire it, the company, I was paying him off. So his IRR was unlimited, because I paid him the loan that he gave me. I had no lines, credit lines, no overdraft, nothing. That was, we made the money, we invested it. But I had in mind 20-year plan. You cannot imagine the offers I had the next 20 years to sell Temenos. But I did not. I would not even listen to them. I said, go away. I knew what I was targeting to have, not short-term stuff. I took it public within 5.5 years at 1.4 billion. So whoever was an investor, they made 1,000 times, 1,400 times their money. The people that worked for me, I have a very generous stock option plan. They're multimillionaires today. Not one person has left the company, because that creates loyalty. We were bonded together. Nothing to do with money. They're multimillionaires. They could have left years ago. They're not. And I had promised that we will make them number one in the world. It is undisputed number one in the world. But the thing that gave me a lot of pleasure was not the value of the company. It was the fact that we were one of the top corporate governance companies. In other words, from the beginning, I said openness, transparency. Don't hide anything. My clients were a sacred concept. So they need to know what we're doing, period, what we're planning, etc. We win consistently now for 20 years, the best innovation, best private banking, best this, best that. I don't even go there anymore. My people go there and pick up the awards because they deserve it. Incredible success, if you like it. The company today, as we talk, is worth over 9 billion. It employs more than 5,000 people, and it can affect the lives of all other people who feed off what we do. That private firms, consulting firms, more than 100,000 people, I was told that they will lose their jobs if tomorrow the company. And to me, imagine the taxes we pay. I have a very high status in Switzerland because, number one, they tax the hell out of me. Number two, the other people earn a lot of money, so they contribute to the state. I have a letter from the Minister of Finance saying, you're a fantastic citizen, and we take care with your money. That's bullshit, by the way, but nevertheless, the typical politician. So I wanted now to sort of discuss a little bit and very quickly, how do you go from bankruptcy to number one? How do you go from bankruptcy to dominance? What exactly is it? But for if it's a business plan, if it's the thing that you write down, okay, let's give it now to 20 people here. Will they bring me back 20 success stories? The answer is no, they don't. It's not just the written word. There is something else behind it. And I want to spend time on that because you can read books about various things, and there's so many books out there, but you read it and you're more confused than you were before you read it, because they keep repeating things or they're trying to brainwash you in a particular way. So, and to me, what makes the difference is, number one, is expectations versus reality. When you start a new company, you want to be the next Steve Jobs. Let's be honest about it. You want to dominate. You want to be the next Bill Gates. Whatever the success story is, yeah, it's natural, and there is nothing wrong with it. You want to have a lot of offices worldwide, etc., etc. But when you start a business, reality sets in. And what is the reality? Most companies, most startups fail. These are real statistics in Europe. 175,000 bankruptcies per and growing. So that in any given week, 3,400 companies will go down. It's frightening. Think about this. In other words, if I look at 1,000 business plan, only one will work that week. That week. It's frightening. How can I tell you which one is the business plan that is going to work? That's the art, eh? It's very difficult. This is Forbes, which says 90% of startups fail. In my estimation, because I'm very much involved in a lot of things, it's more than 90%. I'd say 98, 99. It's okay to read about Amazon. Do you know how many other people have failed? Millions of companies trying to do the same thing. So it's expectations versus reality. When I went public, this was an article in the Herald Tribune, which says 50% of the listed companies will fold up. And it's more than accurate. When I started, I had about 145 competitors. Right now, there are only 5 left. So it's a lot more than whatever it is that they say. And why is that? Because I think a business plan, an idea, a concept, is exactly like life. When I was young, I met my wife, the famous dragon lady. I was in love. I thought we were going to have children the same way, as that life will be perfect. With Temenos, I'll have more offices, I'll grow, that we'll have a good relationship. This is what happened 10 minutes after my wedding ceremony. This is real life. He said, let me tell you what the rules are. Let me tell you who the boss is. And what happens? When I started Temenos, they attacked Iraq for no reason whatsoever. He was a friend of ours. We built his bunkers. We gave him weapons to fight the Iranians, rightly or wrongly. How come you string him up? What exactly did he do? But I could not do business in the Middle East. That's reality. It's not what you have in your business plan, will do this, and you have an Excel spreadsheet, and you extrapolate into the future. And then what happens? As normal in life, because most men die younger than women. The king is dead. The company is bankrupt. That is so real. The company that is more in danger is the one that is doing well, and you're growing. And that is where the cash flow is vital. For if you don't have funding, you're dead. Because you pick up orders, you hire people, but you cannot pay them. And ultimately you go down. So it's not that the idea was bad. The setup is different. That's reality. So there is another aspect in life, and it has to do with perceptions. If I ask you what that is, and I'm not asking you a rhetorical question, if I ask you what this is, and I said the same thing, you'll say faces. Are they really faces? Because they are not really. When you come closer, you see that's not the face of a beautiful woman. It's a couple of birds trying to feed the youngsters. So on one side you perceive with your business plan a particular world, and then reality hits you and say, oh, no, that's not a woman. Yeah. This is, again, it's not a face of a woman, it's a couple of squirrels. When you're in business and you make a decision that this is what you're targeting, then you find out that this is not a woman's face. It's a couple of horses, there are the hooves, there's a bird, and there's a mountain. You cannot necessarily change the company to correct that mistake. And if you're in computer systems or whatever, how can you change technology? If I got it wrong with the Temenos system, to re-architecture it, I need more than 500 million. But I would have lost the faith of the trust of my clients. They would have gone to something else. It's not the same world anymore. Consequently, you lose the company. These are perceptions that shape, and sometimes we allow ego to come into it because I think I'm clever or whatever, and I'm not in touch with reality. You're more likely to lose the business. The other thing that affects what we're doing is the environment. Let us assume you and I agree that these are world issues. What exactly is it that when you look at the news every night and you're in front of the TV, let's say you do that for a week, and then I ask you to put a business plan together. That business plan you're going to put is the reflection of the environment. You're going to be very conservative. You're going to say, ooh, this one, let me tell you, I better go and get some money from a VC, and if you lose it, I don't give a damn about it, because we already don't like them. We call them vulture capitalists. But suppose you spend a week with me, no news, we just meet like this, and then as you put a business plan together. You will put a business plan together, how to conquer the world, not how to overcome the difficulties. So the state of mind of where we are, for instance, here, let's say it may be overregulated. And consequently, you're going to think the whole world is overregulated. Well, no, it's not. You think here is fantastic, and you have no bureaucracy, and you can do things quickly. Well, come to Greece, my birthplace, and it will take you a month to do what I do in Geneva in 1 second without being present. It takes more than a month. I went to get a Greek passport for my daughter, and it took us 1 day to agree with the authorities whether I needed 3 papers, 5 papers, or 10 papers. They will send us to another floor, and that person will say a different number of documents. They wanted money, and I refused to do that. So we spent a whole day. She was pregnant with the second child. And my daughter says, Dad, you may be proud to be a Greek, but this is a screwed up world. Yeah? So the environment that we operate under affects, and it happens quite a lot with the with what way I'd put, what I call the business plan. Now, suppose I ask you, we agree that these are the real issues. There is no other. We can add more to this list, by the way. What is the one thing that we will do that we can improve humanity? We can improve the world. One thing. One thing that there'll be no losers, only winners. And to me, it affects very much the ideal business plan, in my view. And that is, our world suffers from short-term mentality to the point of it's so evil that I believe in the next 10 years we will have a world conflict. We cannot solve any of those issues in a rational way. And this is the reason why I've seen it in business, I've seen it in politics, throughout the world, except India, of course. The politicians will not make decisions but for the next election. Look at what happened in Britain. Tony Blair knew that Gordon Brown was an evil man. But in order to make sure that the Labour Party gets in, so that it doesn't get prosecuted for war crimes for me, he organizes so that he gets elected. Obama tried to put Mrs. Clinton there, a person of such proven, if you like, but not in courts, lack of integrity and criminality. More than 150 people have disappeared in very suspicious circumstances, in other words, been murdered, that otherwise she would have been in jail. Yeah? But Obama, another ineffective politician for me, the only black guy, could have changed the world like Mandela, could have changed the world. What did he do? Absolutely nothing. He went and picked up the Nobel for Peace. When he added 30 more people in Afghanistan, where he promised he will pull the troops out. I mean, please. He goes and picks up. So I've asked the academy, myself, to give me the Nobel for chemistry. Because every time I have red wine with Sanjay, the following morning I turn into urine. And I need the chemistry Nobel. I deserve it. If he deserves the peace Nobel, I need one as well. No politician in the world, except India, make decisions more than 4 to 5 years. Look at the issues here. None of them can be solved, not even in 20. If we make the right decisions today, in 20, 30 years, we may see the results. They look at it and say, oh my, what's the point of, no. How much can I steal? What can I do worldwide? Worldwide. And that's why we have problems. What did I say earlier on with Temenos? 20-year business plan. It's a real case documented in a book that an Italian has written about. I went to a bank in Zurich to sign a licensing agreement. They evaluated 68 companies. They chose Temenos. So I went there, and the guy, the most intimidating session I had in my life, the guy says, how much do you want for your company? I said, excuse me? I came here to sign an agreement. There were photographers and whatever, a lot of people. He says, I'm not buying, he says, software from a piddling little company that doesn't even have an office in Zurich. I had an office in Geneva. I'm the number 16 bank in the world. How much do you want for your company? Louis was present, the venture capitalist. He was drooling, there was saliva, because he can see money. And I said to him, I don't think you can talk to me, I said, about money. You don't have enough to talk to me. He says, what? I handle more than $1 trillion a year. My word of honor, verbatim. So he says to one of his people, bring me the checkbook. He runs towards a secret door. And before he entered, he says, the big one. Now, all I knew in 1999 was a small checkbook that we had. You write a check to the electricity company, you put it in an envelope, and you send it. The check is in the mail. The guy comes back with a checkbook about 1 meter, 75 centimeters, that big. Now, I have more than 20 Mont Blanc pens that have been given as a present from different people. I don't use one of them. You will never see me with a Mont Blanc pen. Because he takes out his Mont Blanc pen, he signs the check. I have my venture capitalist opposite me, who is now salivating on both sides. He sees money now. And he says, I'm not negotiating. How much do you want for your company? Now, no life prepares you for no university. I've done studies. Nobody prepares you for that stuff. What do you do? What would you do? Don't answer it. I said to him, I'm not an English-born person, and I have confused the hell out of you. So I'm going to unconfuse you. I've got a good relationship with my wife. Don't take what I'm saying in a bad way. I said, I've got a wife, I said, that everybody knows is Dragon Lady, and I've got 2 daughters. If you want to buy my wife, you can have her, and I pay you a monthly fee until you'll die. But I said, if you wanted one of my daughters, I said, you don't have enough money to talk to me. And do you know why? They're not for sale. Temenos is my non-biological child. It's not for sale. Therefore, you don't have enough money. This is 99. Those days you can smoke freely. I said, I'm going to light up a cigar. He was also a cigar lover. I'm going to take 1 puff. I said, I'm too proud of a marketeer to ever bother you. I said, good luck with whatever you do. I spent 2 minutes preparing my cigar. I had a gas lighter. So I made a good Corona. Inside me, it's thumping. Externally, I'm cool. My venture capitalist had a mild heart attack because he can see he's not going to get any money. Honest to God. And I take 1 puff, and the guy holding the bloody Mont Blanc pen, that little white thing straight in my eye, he says, I like your style. I want to do business with you. So, okay, then you sign. He signed. And that was the beginning of Temenos' great approval. So my point about that is that 20-year plan I mentioned was very, very important in the development of the business plan. I did not do it for short term. I did not do it for 2 years, screw the public, I take it public, I make money, and I run away. Yeah? So politicians, if one of my daughters, one of my friends says, I want to be a politician, who should I emulate? I have to go back in the history. There is not one that I respect, except, and I don't say that because right now, India looks pretty good because Mr. Modi is a very decent person. Whether he can do things or not, and I'm not politically inclined to say this party or that party. But the predecessors I've seen, exactly like in America, dynasties, that all that money they've made, like the Clintons, like the Kennedys, is all dirty money. And I have zero respect for them. And Louis was married to Jacqueline Onassis' sister, Madame Bouvier. Yeah. His first wife was a sister of Jacqueline Kennedy. They've been accused and convicted of rape and a lot of other things. They're bootleggers. But they were on the Senate, and people will say, oh, Mr. Kennedy, to hell with you. I don't respect them at all. In business, I've seen business where the CEO needs to make his bonus or her bonus, and for 2 or 3 years, there is no investment, and that company is lost. There's a very well-known bank, one of the top banks in the world, in Switzerland. That mentality, it was rumors that Deutsche Bank will buy them. At the end, they were bailed out by the government and others. Stock exchanges were the places where a decent businessman wanted to build a factory and needed $10 million. So instead of going to individuals, they go to the stock market. 10 million people will give $1. He will build a factory like Ford and others, but he never sold a single share. Or Cadbury's, who created a whole village and provided health care and other things to his employees. They didn't do it for money for that day. Yeah? So I've seen in business people having 2 to 3 years time frames and willing to kill very good companies. And worse than anybody else. You're entitled to your views, and I don't have a problem if you're a religious person. And I'm not talking about the religiosity. I'm talking about the people who administer religion. These are even more short-term. It's daily. And I ask anybody whether you believe that the Catholic Church is a religious organization. Because if you believe it is, take the book In God's Name, and you will see things there like monthly meetings with the mafia. They were fined 6 months ago, $450 million for laundering mafia money. And they've got the Pope who turns around, charges money to the Catholic person in any city, he goes to Philippines and gets money from one of the poorest nations in the world. How can you say you represent God when you're full of gold symbols and whatever it is? And I have to maintain my charity work because you are bleeding everybody. So these are the three pillars. The religion is less effective today, but they amass so much power that they do affect our lives. Not directly through religion, because very few people now attend churches or temples or whatever. But I don't have a problem with the religiosity, and if you believe you're the result of a deity, or if you're a Darwinian believer, I'm talking about the hypocrisy of pretending to be good, like the politicians, where in reality all you do is you extort money from people. And by the way, I believe every god in every single religion must have had the worst CFO in the world, because they all need money. Yeah, even the Buddhists, which is not a religion. One of the Buddhist advisors said to one of my people in Hong Kong, if you gave me more money, I will be more accurate with my predictions. Excuse me? You throw a bunch of sticks there, you take the money out of this poor clerk of mine. Now, if I give you more money, what, you're going to throw the sticks in an elegant way? What are you going to do? You're going to throw them like Tom Cruise? They're criminals, nothing else. So, therefore now, that begs a question for me, which is very applicable to business plans. How would you term that your business plan is going to be successful? What is the criteria? Can we agree on a definition of success? I tell you, if I ask the 7.5 billion people that exist in the world, they will tell me money is success. And I can tell you, I'm old enough not to talk rubbish. It's got nothing to do with Beatles, and other people have immortalized through song that money doesn't buy you happiness. It's got nothing to do with money. It has to do with the state of mind. Because if it's only money, why do you study? Why don't you become a contract killer? Why don't you peddle drugs? Better still, become a politician. You never go to jail anyhow, very rarely. Join the Catholic Church, or any church actually. No, it has to be more than that. It has to be something else that business is responsible. I don't do anything on business that is not good to the world. Like Sanjay knows, I got involved with a company that does biodegradable plastic. We have poisoned our waterways and we poison the air we breathe. Plastic has been good to us the last 70 years, but we developed biodegradable plastic. Plastic that disappears with zero toxicity. And I'm proud about this because I have another bigger objective in life, and this to clean up. If you're not aware, go on the internet and look at the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. You will see an area twice the size of the United States, all plastic, which kills millions of marine life every year. Worse than that, they believe that as the fish feeds off that soft plastic, that in 20 years we will not be able to eat fish because the carcinogenic material that they absorb over the year will be transmitted through the raw they produce. We will not be able to eat fish. And we're here talking about being good, while other people educate people in remote locations, which we've forgotten. And there are a lot of countries, except India, that the rural area is an anathema. In Brazil, a large country with a big economy, #1 in the world in rural poverty. That means they live like animals. And we're there saying we're good human beings. No, we're not. So my view is that we need to redefine what success is, because a lot of younger people come off universities, and what is the role model? What? Tell me. Warren Buffett, he should be in jail. They're saying, the wise man of Omaha. No, you're not a wise man. You're an absolute criminal. He's the one who, his company, the rating company, gave a AAA rating for the subprime product. The greatest crime against humanity. And you're calling me wise? Wise man? No, you're not wise. And all the money he gives to charity is guilt money. Probably he's a Catholic and he gives money to the Catholic Church to give him a plot of land. So, and I suggested before, I like this cartoon. It was voted the best cartoon. The son says, I think I'm going to have a career in crime. And the father, unperturbed, reading the paper, says, government or private sector? And he continues, I personally would suggest government. They never go to jail. That is the norm today. It's not about good things, it's about us becoming role models to young people. So my personal view is, when you put a business plan together, write down no more than 5 points in English that does not include money. What would you say in 5 years' time that if you achieve these things, you would be, let's say, successful? In other words, if I achieve these 5 things, I'm successful. And you will find that you will make more money than you ever dreamt in your life. If you target money as an objective, and you call me a friend, you may sell me in a private deal simply because making money is more important to you than friendship. I'm not suggesting you will do it. I'm just
No, you looked at the right person because he's in that business of raising capital for...
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oops.
It was natural instinct.
Oops, we can have a discussion. So in my view, I was telling Fahad while we were checking a particular room here in this floor to see if it's got good ventilation, that the only time in my entire life, I was a migrant in Australia, I've cleaned toilets, I've washed dishes, I've done everything you can imagine. And we had a beautiful house. We had 2 daughters, one was 14, the other one was 16. And we had a very comfortable lifestyle. And a few friends of mine who were playing squash with persuaded me to invest in the stock market. This is 1987. In July, we started. Everyone of us put $100,000. And we found a broker who would give us 50% margin. So we put in 100, he will put in 100. We bought shares. We never sold a single share because every report, this is 1987, Sydney Stock Exchange was going up. We were novice. We didn't even know. We only knew the broker. We had no idea about business. I was in a technology company. And every week, you can see we're making more money. So we put more money. I put all the cash I had. Then I mortgaged the house. 19th of October, the stock market crashed. I lost everything. Everything, from one day to another. But I've learned quite a lot of things. One of the things I've learned another English word, because when we went to Australia, neither my wife or I spoke English. It hasn't improved much, but at least we have now 412 words. Then I realized what the word broker is. If somebody will make you more broke than what you were before. Got nothing to do with anything else. We lost all the money. He made a lot of money because selling and buying, plus he sold the shares. Dragon Lady gets up in the morning on the 20th. All of that is documented. Again, not one exaggeration. And he says to me, did you see the news? I said, yep. He says, the stock market's crashed. I said, yeah, it's all over the TV. I said, crashed 50%. He said, yeah. He says, is it affecting us? I said, not anymore. Not anymore. I'll send Sanjay a few copies of the book that this Italian professor wrote. And he says, what do you mean? I said, we lost everything. She knows what I'm doing, but she doesn't know. Honest to God, she doesn't know where I've invested the money today. If I die today, she needs to go to my family office manager. He knows everything. If I had no understanding, because she doesn't get involved and she trusts me. I said, we lost everything. He says, the money in the bank? I said, gone. The house? I said, I mortgaged it. And he says, what are we going to do? I said, listen, when we were born, I said, we had nothing. When I met you in Greece, we had nothing. She also comes from not as poor as mine, but poor family. I said, when we arrived in Australia, we had nothing. We're in familiar territory. Don't worry about it. We're going to survive. We're going to make it in multiples. Interesting. Must have lost, I don't know, 1.5, 2 million altogether. I don't know. I started Temenos, and I never targeted money. I made it hundreds of times over. And I never targeted money. I will send to today, I showed the 16 statements. That's how I built Temenos. And this is a result of all of that. So it's a real, think about what I'm saying. You don't have to do it, but think about it. So what exactly is then the way to go? I like when a business plan is made along those lines. First you dream, then you believe in that dream, and then you watch it happening. These are not my words. They are on the epitaph of Ferdinand von Zeppelin, the guy who invented the Zeppelin aircraft. On his tombstone, that's what he has. Dream, believe in that dream, and then watch it happening. And I thought, after all of these things that I went through, this is the time to prove this concept. And what does that mean? You need to be governed by something that our society does not allow us to do. And that is, we target mediocrity as a concept, but we don't raise the bar. In other words, my venture capitalist, that only Sanjay knows well, he used to say to me, grow the company 2%. And I'm happy. Because he would have made his money, whatever it is, 2 or 3 times. If I can produce a company of $1 billion, let's say, and I deliver a company of 980 million, do you think I'm going to apologize to you? Do you think I'm going to say I failed? Or would I have been happy going home because I said, I'm going to produce a company of 1 million, and I produce a company of 105, 50,000 more. And then suddenly I say, oh, I deserve a knighthood. Let's go to Betty in England, and she can dub me. Oh, no. And to me, because of the environment, because we don't express what we're capable of doing. We express what we think other people will accept. Because we're scared that somebody may say you're crazy. Like they said to me, il est fou. He's crazy. He's not well. So and with that in mind, let me tell you what I believe a business plan should do. When you allow yourself to dream, what is dreaming? Is what I'm capable of doing. Nobody in the world can tell me how far I can jump. Nobody can tell me what I can do or cannot do. If I'm a woman, and I have 2 daughters, I say, don't be limited by gender. On the contrary, you may have actually far more capacity to do things than me. For whatever reason, you may be smarter, you may be, you have feminine intuition, which men don't have. Majority of the men is just overgrown boys. Let's be honest about it. We just run a bigger company. My wife, she will come to the office, and let's say she meets Sanjay and somebody else, and she will turn around and say, I didn't like that other guy. And I said, well, I didn't ask your opinion. Who says, don't trust him. She has never been wrong in her life. But I've never admitted this, because if I do, I won't be able to do anything in life. She will monitor every appointment, every person. And when I have to do a project, I don't care who the other person is, as long as they can deliver the project, because it's part of a bigger concept. My wife or my daughters will take over. I won't be able to say a word, because the intuition, it can sense danger much better than me. I'm a very simple person. So what happens when you allow yourself to dream? You become different. You create an environment whereby the passion that you create for that business plan, the dynamics you use, they can persuade other people. You produce an energy that you affect everybody else in the company. And suddenly, I'm not the one who needs to come up with a good idea about a product. It happens in a symbiotic way, simply because I will not accept anything else. I said to my people, don't tell me that's impossible. You're the only one who can say it's impossible, only because you decide, not because the environment says it's impossible. I ask them to do something in the system. He says, oh, it's impossible. I said, don't you ever use that word. What is impossible? We're the only ones, but we're human. I design computers. Don't tell me I cannot do this. I can design a computer that can do it. But a lot of times, that positive energy that we can generate is not there. When you have a business plan that you believe in, you allow yourself to influence others because of the positiveness. Once you have some good results, it gives you further impetus. And before you know it, you develop characteristics that you never quit for instance. I never quit in my entire life. Went to Australia, didn't speak the language. I went to university. I said, to hell with this. I failed subjects because day one, I can tell you a particular event. I asked somebody to make a phone call because the telephone numbers had both numbers and the letters, and I was confused. And a young lady there says, telephone engaged. And I said, you, no joke, call now. She looked at me, this is in Australia, very liberal sort of country. The same thing, phone is engaged. And I said, don't you joke, no, don't you. You joke me, and she goes, F off. I ran to my friend, it's a new word for me. I go to my friend, I said, Kim, friend, what is F off? He used to grab his head and say, what have you done? I said, what me no do? She said, I could not understand that a phone is engaged because the only explanation I have of engaged, you're engaged to get married. And I could not see a phone being married. And I thought they were playing games with me because I'm a foreigner. And they're racist. They're very racist in Australia. But it had nothing to do with racism. It's to do with my limited vocabulary. I went through a lot of difficulties. I said, okay. Tomorrow I speak 16 words, then 25, then 50. And it came to a point where I was comfortable with it. But I would not quit. Quitting to me is an opportunity gone. You learn to find solutions to problems simply because that business plan governs your whole existence. Like Ferdinand von Zeppelin, that's your life. You must get from point A to B. Any difficulty, you find a solution. And you don't realize, actually, how innovative you can be, simply because we've been indoctrinated in a particular way. And in a way that I cannot explain to you. I don't condone some of the things I will say, but I need to say in order to get an idea across. My wife does not drink, does not smoke, never had coffee, only organic food, okay? And I do all of that stuff. So we're an average couple. She does 0, I do 100. I smoke, I drink, I don't exercise, I never sleep, or I sleep from time to time, and on and on. Guess who's got the majority of the health problems? It's not me. I never had any major issues. And I don't condone what I do. And if you don't drink, okay? But let me tell you something. Between the two of us, I'm the positive guy. I get up in the morning, all I want is to go to the office. I'm like an artist, and you give me a studio, and I'm there to paint or to write music or whatever. Eva always worries about everything. Worries about kids being abducted, about robbing the house, about, I said, honestly, I said to her, look at this beautiful cloud. Blue skies, a little cloud. I said, that's poetry. I'm really romantic. And he said, oh no, he says, this will attract other clouds, and there'll be more clouds, and then there'll be rain. Oh, no. We go to the same doctor for 25 years. I will bring her here. She normally, she's been here many, many times in India. And you can talk to her. Go to the doctor. Her cholesterol was up, sugar was up, thyroid was up, her gallbladder was. And she says, excuse me. And she speaks perfect French. She lived in Belgium in the past. So he says, he drinks, he smokes, he never sleeps. He travels and he eats in inordinate times and quantities. On what basis you tell me I have a problem? He says, madam, I can only interpret results. Here you are. And he shows the two graphs. And mine is, and hers is like shark's teeth. And you know what it is? When you are doing the things you like, and when you write good stuff, and you do good things, it affects your health. Don't ask me how. I'm not a medical person. I only found out 3 years ago that we have red and white cells. I still don't know what each one of them does because I don't give a damn about it. I'm happy that I'm alive. I look up and I'm not a man that has anything but gratitude. And that equilibrium creates an environment where somehow the body finds a way to balance. So I'm told now that red wine cleans up the arteries. Ah, fantastic. But if it didn't, I would still drink it, by the way. So, because the body will find a way to overcome these difficulties. And it is so true in business that I never had time to get sick. Other people have a lot of time, so they get sick. I don't have time to get sick. So, what is the roadmap? Very quickly. To me, the first decision even with the business plan, is to do good things. When you put a business plan together, think about how you create more jobs. You create useful products. You do good things. Be a good citizen. If we all avoid taxation, this will end up being a revolution. Because at the end of the day, we will encourage other dishonest behavior, and at the end, you're not going to have quality of life. And quality of life is very important. If I could sort out the traffic, this would be a lovely city. But the traffic is a pain in the neck. It's the same thing with London. The same thing with New York. Because we have so many cars, and we're not doing anything about it. They put a tax in London, and the only thing that's happened is 120 million pounds go from the pockets of the drivers to the politicians. Nothing else. The traffic has not changed at all. Another form of taxation, dishonest approach to life. As I mentioned about the biodegradable plastic and a lot of other things, I do a lot of good things, and they give you that energy that I mentioned before that you're required to do well. Second thing is accountability. I've seen a lot of people complaining when their business fails. I've seen a lot of young people complaining about the mothers, the fathers, the heritage or whatever. Complaining does not solve anything. In business, it's not an ego trip. Do you have a problem? Is it raining? Get a bloody umbrella. Stop complaining about it. The government is disorganized. Find a way to do it. Set up the company somewhere else. Live somewhere else. I was born in Greece. I'm a very proud Greek. But pride that I have is 2,500 years old. Not these horrible people who are the greatest hypocrites on earth. They're criminals. They're traitors. And I don't live there. I went to a place where I can do these things. So we always have options, but complaining means you don't account for the things that go wrong. I never complained about the stock exchange. I learned my lesson. Life taught me a lesson, very hard lesson, but it was a good lesson. Now ask me how many shares I own. Zero. Zero. I've invested it in things that I can control and I can point the right way. So complaining is not a solution. I think in my life, my two daughters have taken me on one day and I said to them, but I never made a mistake in my life, other than marrying their mother, but that we don't talk about it. I'm entitled to one mistake. I said, other than marrying your mother, there's nothing else. And he said, and seriously, they're both well educated. And he says, how can, I said, I never make mistake. When I make a decision, I make it for good reasons, trying to figure out what the future is. I don't claim to be a guru or an overseer or I can read the future. And I said, two options they've developed over the years. I will either win and reproduce that decision or I will learn something. But I've never failed. I don't use the word failure. When you use the word failure, you penalize yourself like self-flagellation of the Catholics. You know, no. You don't fail. You just learn something. And it may or may not be your problem. But don't expect to be perfect. You're not God, and I'm not God either. So I do things. I'm accountable. I always take the blame when something goes wrong and always give the credit to my staff when they do well. I've never said that I deserve that credit. Timeline, your business plan. If you can think about 100 years, think about what I'm saying. If you put a business plan for 3 years, you'll make a set of decisions. If you put it for 20 or 100, totally different. The longer the time frame, the clearer the view. When I said to the guy, you don't have enough money, I could honestly see the future. I could see Temenos being something spectacular. I didn't know if it was going to worth 8 billion or 1. I didn't care less about it. So when he said that, instinctively, I said, you don't have enough money to talk to me. And the only decision I had to make how to deliver this bloody message with his more blunt pen. Now, of course, he thinks he calls me JC, but Jesus Christ, I walk on water. But I'm the same person as I was, almost a villain those days. Now I'm Jesus Christ. So long term is the way to go with a business plan. Me, if I read your business plan and it addresses long-term issues, I'll be attracted to it. I will fund it. I will take it seriously. If I see a spreadsheet with a lot of numbers, every one that I have seen and I tracked, everyone has failed. Yeah? So, a couple more slides. Leadership. Leadership, to me, cannot coexist without integrity. If you're gonna be a leader, and you're gonna lead people, you're gonna lead them to something good, then you need to educate them, you need to help them, you need to do things not for your personal gain. The two things that I suggest to everybody to get out of the system is fear and guilt. Fear is not a physical thing. If a door knocks, if there is a knock on the door and I open it, fear that some people worry about, fear is not a physical thing. It's not a dagger that you take it, it's going to come and hit you. Fear only exists because you accept it. And guilt is a man-made condition whereby they can control your senses and your well-being. In other words, you're hostile to those people who create the guilt in you. And you cannot run a company if you're going to regret decisions you have made. I do not regret a single decision I've made my whole life. As I said, I will either had a good result or I learned something from it. If you're going to lead a company, you need to take that responsibility without fear or guilt. Any of these emotions you allow to come into your life, they will consume you. If you allow fear into your body, that fear will become your master. You will never escape it. So you have to make a decision knowing you do the correct thing. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. When you have a successful company, understand that money and power corrupts people, no matter how strong you are. I've been tempted so many times with big offers, whatever. I will tell them to go and multiply themselves. I'm not listening to anybody. I have this membrane. You haven't developed it yet. So understand that money and power corrupts most people. And even though some politicians may join the political party in order to do correct things, as they progress, they realize that unless they get corrupted, they will never lead that party. So they give in. My suggestion is stay incorruptible. For greatness and innovation, if you look at history, throughout history, no change ever in humanity happened because of a political party, a set of beliefs, or a club. It came from individuals. Look at all these leaders. They are real leaders. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But it came from an individual. And to me, I encourage all of you that will start a business, will do something. Figure out how you can help a lot of other people, how you can create wealth, how you can create jobs, rather than saying, my friend there doesn't know much, so I've got an opportunity there to grab 50% of his company, because that is short-term and you will never succeed. Yeah? But think about what you have been empowered with by nature or by God and say, I can do this. You are the only one who will accept limitations, nobody else. So to me, the greatest traits are to have a mission, to know why you're doing this, not just to make money. The love for that freedom where nobody can tell you what to do and not to do, within constraints. And to have an incorruptible. The Greeks have a word that is called philotimo. And philotimo means to do something without any concern about personal cost or benefit. There is no equivalent Greek word, English word. So I can't, it's a constellation of values. I've given a video to Sanjay. If you're interested in that, it's about 3 minutes long and I don't want to play it now. But to act with a concept of what is good in any particular time, not how much gain you're going to have from that. And if anybody ever tells you that you are crazy, my suggestion, including your family, my suggestion is you're great, closer to greatness than you may think. And don't give up that dream. Yeah? Thank you. I love